well. Luna 25, Russia's moon mission there, has crashed after it collided onto the surface of the moon. It was expected to make a soft landing tomorrow. Well, this happened after there was a pre-landing maneuver incident. In fact, the Russian Space Agency had also reported that it had lost contact with the moon mission there, and now the Russian Space Agency has confirmed that the lander has ceased to exist. Now, this is significant because Russia, in a sense, was in a race with India's Chandrayaan-3, which is expected to make a soft landing in just about 3 days. But of course, a big setback, a big blow to Russia's moon mission there. Remember, the Luna 25 was actually launched after multiple setbacks, but now it has crashed after it collided onto the surface of the moon. India is now expected to be the first country in decades to actually land its rover on the unexplored south pole of the moon. Pallav Bagla is now joining us on this big story. Mr. Bagla, a big setback to Russia, of course, but what really went wrong? Break it down for us.
Well, I don't think even the Russians know as of now what went wrong. The statement from the Russian Space Agency says that the Luna 25 spacecraft has ceased to exist, and other media are reporting that it has crashed to the moon surface. Yesterday, the Russian Space Agency had said that there was an emergency situation on the Luna 25 spacecraft, and that they hadn't said anything further. But today, there's confirmation that it has ceased to exist, and that it may have crashed to the moon surface. Now, it only shows that it remains rocket science, and even a country with the experience of USSR and now Russia, when it attempts to do a soft landing on the moon, can encounter problems. So, not that it should give solace to India, that India's Chandrayaan-2 also encountered a problem and crashed onto the moon surface. But as of now, things are looking good for Chandrayaan-3, which is attempting to have a soft landing on 23rd of August, around in the evening. So things are going well for Chandrayaan-3 and Vikram lander. But yes, sad news that Luna 25 has ceased to exist and crash landed on the lunar surface. The moon takes its toll. There is no atmosphere there. The gravity is 1/6 of Earth. The rocket engines which are used to propel the spacecraft towards the moon cannot be tested on Earth, so it has to be done really on the moon orbit, and Russia has not tasted success. And 23rd, India should be able to have a soft landing, is what scientists from the Indian Space Research Organization say. And if India succeeds, India will become the 4th country in the world to have soft landing on the moon after Russia, America and China. And if India succeeds to have a soft landing on 23rd near the south pole of the moon, then India would become the first country in the world to have a satellite or a lander softly landed near the south pole of the moon. Let's just go back. India also sent intentionally a moon impact probe in Chandrayaan-1, which also went and intentionally crashed near the south pole of the moon. And Chandrayaan-2, we faced a debacle when the Vikram lander did not perform optimally and crashed. So right now, yes, Luna 25 no longer exists, but Chandrayaan-3's Vikram lander continues its orbit around the moon. And hopefully things will go right, because ISRO has learned lessons from its failure, and it also has performed corrections. And one should remember that Russia was attempting a moon mission after almost 4 decades. The last moon mission by Russia was
And that's a significant point, isn't it, Mr. Bagla, that, it's after almost 5 decades that Russia had launched this after many setbacks. So in the larger context of, Russia's declining space power as well, this is significant because, as you rightly pointed out, that, Russia has been, in a sense, not just in race with India, but also in the context of US and China. So in that larger context of Russia's declining space power, this is a big setback.
Well, one can view it from many angles. Russia is not really declining space power. The human space flight capability of Russians is very good. They have a very good success record. They make good satellites. They have good rockets. Yes, they visited the moon after almost 4 decades. And remember, all the experience you have, the heritage knowledge you have with your scientists and engineers gets eroded in 4 decades, which is why people say one should keep having missions. And that is the key reason why India first went in 2008, after a long gap went in 2019, and now in 2023, again going back to the moon. And there are many people who were involved in the 2019 mission who are still involved in India's Chandrayaan 3 mission. So it's all about heritage knowledge.
Right.
At the end of the day, moon is very tricky, even though it looks very beautiful, it looks very nice and very serene, but attempting a soft landing on the moon is not an easy cup of tea. It's tough, and Russia has faced a problem.
Right, and Mr. Bagla, my last question to you, can you give a quick update on, Chandrayaan 3? Of course, it has completed successfully its, final deboosting sort of maneuver. It is right on track, as you've mentioned as well. But so a quick update on Chandrayaan 3 as well for our viewers.
Well, Chandrayaan 3 is right now, there are two parts to Chandrayaan 3. There is the propulsion module, which is in the orbit of the moon in an elliptical orbit. And the Vikram lander with the Pragyan rover in its womb is also in an elliptical orbit, but in an orbit which is much closer to the moon. Right now, the systems on board the Vikram lander are being tested by the scientists at the Indian Space Research Organization, and all the operations are being controlled from Bengaluru. The health of the Vikram lander today looks good, and the Indian Space Agency has announced that they will have a soft landing on the 23rd of August in the evening.
Right.
And after that, the Pragyan rover will be rolled out. So far, Chandrayaan 3 has performed flawlessly. But the crucial test really is on August 23rd, because that is where we encountered a problem in Chandrayaan 2. So it is a difficult job, and Russia's crash landing has shown that it's not easy. And India will attempt and make the best possible opportunity.
Right. So, all eyes really on that, bid for soft landing. Of course, as we've mentioned earlier as well, India is set to become the first country to land its rover on the unexplored South Pole. Thanks very much, Mr. Bagla, for joining us on that big breaking story.